Right, so can I just say that I've had some absolute stinkers in terms of predictions coming up in this video, so if you do go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. As you guys know, on this channel each week, I make my championship score predictions, and with championship football returning this week, I thought that now would be a pretty good time to have a look back on those predictions so far. And with 37 games played into this season, so far this season, I have made 444 separate predictions for every match in the championship, and that got me thinking, what would the league table actually look like if every single one of my predictions was bang on? And it's a little bit mismatched in places, but let me know down below what you guys make of my table, and without any further ado, let's hop into it. So we'll start out at the bottom and then work our way upwards. So coming in 24th, rock bottom of the championship, we've got Wigan Athletic finishing on a measly 24 points. My predictions this year have not been kind to Wigan, have they? That is way off the mark. 17 more points they have in real life. They're sat 4 positions higher. What's mental is for the first 15 game weeks of the season, I predicted Wigan to win 1 football match. Wigan fans, I am sorry. To be fair, Wigan didn't get off to the best starts to the season so far. I think away matches, I don't think I predicted them to win an away match all season. They went on a bit of a barren run in the middle of the season as well, 13 matches without a win. I think throughout that time I was just predicting them to lose pretty much every week. I mean, they are in that region of the table, but to finish on 24 points at this stage of the season is a little bit mad, really. Bottom of the table in real life, Barnsley, and even they've got 34 points. So Wigan this season, I'm sorry, I've not been very good at predicting you guys. Coming in 23rd position and finishing above Wigan on goal difference, we then have Stoke City also on 24 points. Now, Stoke, what lets them down in my prediction of the table so far, their start to the season was pretty awful, and that was reflected in my predictions. I actually didn't predict them to win a match until game week 17. I mean, that seems pretty ridiculous in the grand scheme of things, but in that time with results in real life, they only won 2 matches. They did get off to a pretty awful start to the season, and after that obviously managed to pick things up a little bit. I think a reoccurring thing you'll see throughout the video is obviously teams who have got a lot less points than in real life have underestimated them, and then I've way overestimated some other teams as well. So Stoke, another one I've underestimated. In 22nd place we have the first prediction, which I'm fairly happy with. We got Luton Town there sat with 28 points, so 7 points shy of what they've got in real life, but they're in a similar part of the table and the point tally isn't too far off the mark. So with that one for Luton, I'd say I'm fairly happy with that. I've been alright at predicting them so far this season. Same thing as for Charlton as well, who I've got in 21st position on 32 points. Same thing for Luton, really. They're 1 place higher than where they are in real life, and only 7 points off how many points they actually have in real life. That's not all too bad. I think a lot of the points that Charlton have accumulated in my table definitely came at the start of the season like they did in real life. I was predicting them to win quite a lot in the early game weeks, and then since the season's gone on, that started to filter out a little bit more, but that one I'm fairly happy with. 20th position we got Hull City. Once again, I'm fairly happy with this prediction. They're just 1 place higher than where they are in real life. They got 34 points on my prediction, and in real life they got 41. So once again, not a million miles away with that one. In 19th we got Huddersfield. Once again, fairly happy with this prediction. This table, both in my prediction and in real life, is like obscenely close at the moment, and Huddersfield have been a bit of a weird one. Obviously they got off to a dodgy start this season. I think in the opening 12 game weeks of the season I only predicted Huddersfield to win 1 match, which wasn't a million miles away because they only won twice in that period. Obviously since the Cowleys came in, they've had a bit of an upturn, and that was reflected in my predictions as well. But like I say, Huddersfield 1 place lower than where they are in real life. Fairly happy with that one. Same thing goes for Middlesbrough as well. I've got them coming in 18th on 36 points. That's 1 place higher than where they are in real life. 5 points lower actually than their original point tally. They got 41 in real life. I've got them on 36 at the moment. So obviously the trend that's starting to build in my table so far is a lot of the teams at the bottom of the championship, in terms of their point tallies, I have underestimated so far this season. And when we get into some of the point tallies of the teams at the top of the table, you're going to see where some of those extra points have gone to. But Middlesbrough, once again, fairly happy with that prediction. It's very tight in this region of the table. The next prediction's a bit of a stinker, I can't lie about that. I've got Reading in 17th, they're 14th in real life. I've got them 12 points under what their actual point tally is. I've got them on just 36 points. At the start of the season, I actually predicted Reading to win quite a bit actually, but obviously then they parted company with Jose Gomez, and it was a bit of a weird period for them. But then when Mark Bowen came in, results picked up again. I would say Reading have been one of the most difficult sides to predict so far this season. They have been one of the most sort of hit or miss teams. Oh, but then this next one is a big stinker. We got Barnsley coming in 16th place, 8 places higher than where they are in real life. Barnsley, I've just backed them a lot throughout the season, haven't I? And I think the reason for this is, I remember watching on the opening day, it was a game that stuck with me throughout the season, Barnsley against Fulham. They beat them at home 1-0. It was such a brilliant, spirited performance. There was loads of energy, loads of dynamism with the wingers they were playing in that game, and I just thought Barnsley were excellent. They then went on a ridiculous losing streak after that. And as I was doing my score predictions each week, I was going back and watching my videos, and I just said every week, do you know what, I think that this might be the week where Barnsley get back to that level they were at the start of the season, and they're going to break this curse and get 3 points here. And it just didn't happen for absolutely ages. In real life, it took them until game week 19 to get their second win of the season, and throughout that period there was just a lot of matches where I thought, oh, this could be a good opportunity for Barnsley, and I backed them, and it obviously didn't end up happening. 15th, we then get to Birmingham. I'm pretty happy with this sort of region of the table that we're getting into now. So away from the clubs who are like sort of threatened by relegation and into those mid-table clubs at the moment, Birmingham here are just one place higher than where they are in real life, so I've got that one pretty accurate. They've got 5 points less than they do in real life, so I'm not too far out with Blues. In 14th place, we got QPR. That's one position lower than where they are in real life. Once again, a pretty decent prediction for this one. I'm only 4 points away from QPR's point tally for the season as well. They're currently on 50 points, and I've got them here on 46. So with QPR, I've been fairly accurate at predicting them throughout the season. I think this is the region of the table as well where I'm probably closest in terms of the point tally, because like I say before, teams at the bottom I've underestimated, teams at the top I've overestimated, and then there's this sort of mid-ground in the middle where I've been pretty reasonable with the teams around mid-table so far this season, and QPR has been one of them. Although Blackburn do fall a little bit short in this one, I have underestimated them a little bit. They're 3 places lower and 7 points off where they are in real life, so Blackburn are definitely one that I have underlooked. Obviously they're one of the clubs who, when the football does get back going, they're going to be wanting to sneak into that top 6, and they're not a million miles away in my prediction, but I have just undervalued them a little bit. Same thing goes for Millwall as well. I'm 4 places off and 7 points off where they are in real life at the moment. They're 8th in the table at the moment. I've got them bang in the middle in 12th. I think that what held Millwall back in my prediction was at the start of the season I really wasn't too kind to Millwall, and then after Gary Rowett came in and the results started to pick up, my predictions showed that as well. I actually only predicted them to win one of their first 13 matches under Neil Harris, which is pretty mad. But I think as the season's gone on, I've got a little bit more accurate with Millwall. Obviously they beat us on the opening day as well, which I didn't predict. I think I predicted that one to finish as a 1-1 draw, which I was off on. So Millwall, prove me wrong. With Derby County, I'm pretty much spot on with this one. I've got them 11th on 49 points. In real life, they're 12th on 51 points. So I'm 1 position out and 2 points out on over the course of 37 games, 37 different predictions for Derby. I'm pretty happy with that one. I'm pretty much spot on with Derby. I think that's the first prediction we've actually got to on this table where I'm happy with the position in the table that they are and the points tally as well in terms of where they are in real life, because I've pretty much got that one spot on. So when it comes to predicting a Derby match, more often than not I've been on the money so far this season. Either that or I've just been lucky, which let's face it, probably is the case as well. In 10th position we then have Sheffield Wednesday. So similar to Barnsley, another team which I've quite overshot this season. They're 15th in the table in real life, but I mean, interestingly enough, I've only predicted them to pick up 3 more points than they've actually got so far this season. But in the context of my table and how I predicted other sides below them, I've overshot Wednesday a little bit, which is quite interesting. In 9th place we get to Cardiff City, and finally, it's only taken us this far into the video for me to finally get a team bang on in terms of their position in the table. In my predictions I've got Cardiff in 9th, and in real life Cardiff are in 9th, so at long last we managed to get one nailed on. To be fair, a lot of the predictions before this have been only 1 place out, either 1 over or 1 under, so I'm counting them as good predictions as well, but Cardiff is the first one in the table that I'm bang on with. We all know that teams around the playoffs this season have been largely inconsistent for the whole of it, but that has seemingly led to me being able to sort of predict them throughout the season in terms of their overall point tallies. We're getting a lot more accurate in this point of the table in terms of the overall points than we were at the bottom, let's just say that. In 8th position we then have Bristol City. Once again, not a million miles away for this one. They're 7th in the table in real life, so just 1 place lower at the moment. I've got them on 51 points. They got 4 more points in real life. So for this part of the table, I've been pretty accurate with predicting teams throughout the season. Maybe because it's a Preston fan and I just pay more attention to this part of the table table naturally because that's where we are at the moment. But Bristol City sitting in 8th place on 51 points in my prediction. It's another one which I'm fairly happy with. And in 7th place and just missing out on the top 6, we actually have my side, Preston North End, finishing on 53 points. So for everyone that's ever left a comment going, oh my god, this guy's so biased towards Preston, if anything, I've undervalued us this season because we're 3 points off in my prediction where we are in real life. But I'm not gonna lie, while I was making this video, at the start of the season, I was predicting Preston to win a lot of football matches. I was like 6 games into making this table, and I was thinking, oh no, Preston are going to end up being top of this, aren't they? I've been way too kind to us throughout the season. My credibility is going to be out the window. I may as well rename the channel, you know, Preston Fan TV or something like that. But no, I've actually been pretty neutral when it comes to Preston this season. At least I think so when predicting us. You know, when I think we're going to struggle in the game or we're not going to come out on top or something like that, I do say it how it is, I think, when it comes to Preston. And like I say, I have been fairly accurate with predicting our scores as well. You know, we're 7th in my table and I'm only 3 points out on our actual point tally in real life, which shows I've been fairly decent at predicting us, which, you know, I'd hope so. You know, I watch more Preston football than any other team in the Championship so far this season. But I do think that on the whole, I give like every Championship club, you know, a fair crack of the whip. I wouldn't say that I'm biased towards anyone really. So with North End just missing out on the top 6, let's hop into it and see who's made it in my prediction. So sneaking into that first playoff spot, we actually have Swansea City, which I found quite interesting. They've got 3 points more on this than they do in real life, but they have been bumped up the table quite a bit. They're 11th in the table at the moment. I think a lot of the points that I predicted Swansea to get this season did come at the start of the season. They won 5 of their first 6 matches. After they beat Leeds at Ellen Road, I really thought, and I said it in the video of the Championship Roundup, Swansea this season really looked like the real deal. Like, they looked like they would be the pace setters. They were top of the Championship. And then it was after that match that they just fell off a little bit. And while they were falling off, I was continuing to predict them to win, and it just wasn't quite happening for them. And obviously, with how close the table is at the moment, you know, they're only 3 points off the playoffs. They could still go in and sneak in there, but you can't help but feel like with how well they started this season, could they have gone that one more step this season? And getting into the top 5, in 5th position we have Nottingham Forest. I'm happy with this one as that is where they are in real life, but it is as we get into this top 5 that you see where some of the points this season have gone to in my predictions. Like, you'll see at the bottom of the Championship a lot of teams with low point tallies. We really do get a little bit mental as we get into this top 5. So Forest have got 10 more points than they do in real life in my prediction. I think that a reason for them dropping more than I've predicted them to get has been Forest have been a bit of an obscure team, and I think that at home so far this season there have been occasions where they have dropped points against teams that they probably should have been beating. That's where I think those extra points that I predicted them to get have gone to this season. In 4th place we have Brentford. Once again, happy with this one as that is where they are in real life, but I've way overshot their points tally. I've got them on 76 points. That's 16 more than they have in real life. I think that the reason for me overshooting them a little bit was my predictions from the start of the season. As we all know, Brentford didn't get off to a great start to this season. They only won 3 of their opening 11 matches. After that, they were able to pick themselves up. But what this goes to show about my points tally really, and why they are so off at the top and bottom of the Championship, is because of how unpredictable the league is, and that is why it is such a great league, you know. This season we've seen Brentford beat Luton 7-0, and then in the reverse fixture, Luton beat Brentford 2-1, so it's just a mad league, isn't it? Coming in 3rd position and missing out on the top 2. Now, I was surprised at this one, but we do actually have West Brom. They've got 13 more points in my prediction than they do in real life, finishing on 83, and it's still not enough to get them into the top 2, which I found pretty mad. I thought that going into making this prediction, I was pretty certain that West Brom and Leeds would be the top 2, and maybe Preston if I'd been too biased towards us, but I didn't think we'd see West Brom missing out on it. I have predicted them to win a lot throughout the season, evidently by the point tally, but there's been 2 other sides who I predicted to win even more, which is pretty mad. Coming in 2nd place then, we have Leeds United on 87 points. So even 87 points at this stage of the season isn't enough to win the league according to me. But Leeds so far this season, I mean, more often than not, I have been predicting Leeds to win most weeks, which has been the case in real life, let's be honest. You know, what Leeds have been good at so far this season is they have been fairly consistent at least beating the sides in the bottom half of the table. Like, there's been the odd slip up here and there against the likes of Wigan and Charlton that I can think of off the top of my head. But the majority of games that you see Leeds winning, they go on and do that. And they have had the odd blip here and there. But with them being in 2nd, you know, it's not too far away from that top spot. It shows that I have been, you know, quite good to Leeds this season. But there's still one other team with more points than that. So let's get into it. So coming in at the top of my table of predictions, we have Fulham on 89 points. That's 25 more points than they have in real life according to my predictions, which is absolutely mental. Like, we've seen some overshoots so far in terms of positions in the league, like Barnsley I'm way off on, but in terms of the point tally so far, I'm way off for this Fulham side. I actually didn't predict Fulham to lose this season until game week 16, which is pretty mad. In that time in real life, they'd lost 4 times. I think that at the start of the season especially, I was sort of like taken back by all the big names that Fulham had in their squad, and they were a bit of a weird team at the start of the season because they were very up and down. Like, they beat Millwall 4-0 one week and then the following week lost 2-1 to Forest at home. The difference between a side like Fulham and Leeds so far this season has been Fulham's ability to not being able to beat those sides in the bottom half of the table. There's been, you know, a big area of inconsistency there. You know, they've dropped points so far this season against the likes of Barnsley, Stoke, Luton, Reading. There's a whole bunch of teams near the bottom of the table that Fulham just haven't been able to finish off this season, and that has led to them falling behind a little bit in the table. And I do think that Fulham may look back on this season, if they don't go up, as a little bit of a missed opportunity, because there has just been a lot of winnable games which have slipped away from them a little bit. I'm not gonna lie though, 89 points at this stage of the season, like, Fulham would be on the way to Reading's record, wouldn't they, which is pretty mad. But nevertheless, guys, that's my table. Let me know what you think of it, and I'd be interested to know from you guys as well. Who do you think that, you know, off the top of your head, throughout the season so far, who do you think has been one side in your weekly predictions who you've overshot a little bit and one side who you've undershot a little bit? Because there's definitely cases of both of those in my table that you can see to the side of me there. But guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. So this was just for a little bit of fun, really. If you did go in to enjoy the concept, make sure to leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. Like I say, we do have our weekly score predictions and roundup videos coming up, which I am so excited to get back into. But apart from that, guys, thanks very much for watching. So like I say, leave a like if you want to enjoy, subscribe for some regular football content. We've got loads coming up over the next few weeks as the Championship football is returning. But apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.